Why is academic writing so hard to read? I'm currently a first year MFA student, and since first coming across these kinds of texts back in late elementary school, if I recall correctly, they've always been something that I've struggled with. It's not that I'm unable to read or understand these kinds of texts, it's just the fact that they're filled to the brim with so much jargon that they're not even close to being friendly for the average college student that is reading them. In one of my current classes, we're constantly reading academic articles and breaking them down and having little discussions about them. And a few months ago, there was one article that I read for class or attempted reading. I got about halfway and then I either skimmed the rest or I just gave up, but I did get the main point out of it. But I read this article and I really disliked it because of the language in it and how it was put together. I disliked it so much that after reading, I was complaining to one of my close friends, as you can see here, because it was giving me a headache. The article is called Working Rhetoric and Composition, and it's written by Bruce Horner and Min-Zhan. And to save you from your own headache, the main message that I believe these two are trying to convey is that the teaching of English needs to constantly be worked on because English is constantly evolving. Like when you have people from diverse backgrounds coming in, people from different ethnicities and things like that. I'm Jamaican, for example, so the dialect that my family uses back in Jamaica and then even here in America is not traditional English. It's more broken English and patois, so that's just one example from like one group of people. But like I said, the teaching of English needs to constantly be worked on, and also the concepts of rhetoric, the type or style of speech or writing, and composition, how you compose or put together speech and writing. These two things go hand in hand, and they should not be taught separately. They need to be taught together. And for some reason, they're being taught separately in certain schools and campuses, and that's a big no-no. I don't think these are hard concepts to understand necessarily, but I don't understand why Horner and Liu couldn't summarize this in a short paragraph of around 200 to 300 words max with clear language. Like, I don't understand the need for a 20 plus page paper filled to the brim with jargon. This paragraph is basically saying that if we were to give the concepts of rhetoric, composition, and rhetoric and composition the respect that they deserve, we would be able to form some kind of resistance against the powers that be that dictate what is the main way of speaking and writing English. However, rather than doing this, we are separating these terms, alienating them, and making them stand on their own when they work best together. That is essentially what this paragraph is saying. In my eyes, I believe it's one of their main arguments in this entire piece. And it's in this paragraph that is just filled with jargon. I don't think a paragraph like this should exist. Like, I think this could be condensed and it could be written much cleaner. I think the greatest irony about Horner and Liu's piece is that they're able to recognize that English is ever changing, but their writing is a clear indicator of their inability to adapt and make something that is more clear to this newer and diverse student body. Like, if they, I'm not to say that they don't care about this, but I do think it says a lot that rather than going the extra step and making something that is more digestible, they created something that is only really easy to understand by their peers, who are other scholars that probably have PhDs and things like that are in higher education, not the average college student like myself. A text that I read recently from this same class I read this same article from is Linguistic Justice by April Baker Bell. Although this definitely fits the criteria of what you would call an academic text, the language in it is much more digestible. Rather than filling it with boring jargon, Baker Bell mixes in simple slang terms, and she also provides real and fictional examples of interactions that she's had with students and that students may have had with each other and their teachers, and it all kind of comes together and supports the arguments that she makes. And honestly, it's like a really fun read. I think anybody, well, I'm not gonna say anybody, but I think most college students, like, this is something that I would recommend to the average college student, honestly. Like, this is a text that I think teachers would probably want to have in their class. If I could make a suggestion to Horner and Lou, and this isn't a diss or anything, but if they haven't, I would recommend that they read this book by April Baker Bell, because maybe it could kind of help them learn to craft their academic writing in a more succinct and tasteful way. Lastly, while doing research for this video, I stumbled across this article called "The Curse of Knowledge: Why Are Academic Papers So Difficult to Read?" It was written by Sharaf Fazdar, and it was published in 2022 by the University of Sydney's weekly student newspaper, Oni Swa. This is taken from Wikipedia, but this is what Oni Swa means. Like, it's like a shortened version of this phrase here. That means "shamed be whoever thinks ill of it." It's like a very interesting story behind like why they chose that for their magazine name. I definitely recommend you guys do some research on that, but that's kind of irrelevant to my video point. So Sharaf is essentially making this argument that academics are not writing for students or a wide audience of people. They're writing for their colleagues, their peers, this small circle of people that are studying and working in these same fields that are going to look at their work and pick it apart. That is who they're writing for. And to that, I say, I don't think they should dumb down their writing for a wider audience, dumb down, quote unquote. But in the same way that someone who is writing with a physical piece of pen and paper needs to make sure that their work is legible so it can be read by others, and in the same way that a storyteller has to make sure their story is understandable and it makes sense, I believe that these academics could most definitely spend time to be more mindful with their writing, because there are more eyes than just their peers that is going to be on it. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.